Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host from Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. And we who do believe in freedom cannot rest till freedom come. And we're going to have an interesting show today. I thank all my supporters and the Virtues Healing Circles for supporting Mother's Justice Show. I want to bring my guest on today, Mr. Eddie Rye. And we'll be joined by Attorney Stephen Coger later on. How you doing, Mr. Rye?
Very fine, very fine. It's a rarity for a guest to interview the host on a radio program. But since you're Reverend Dr. Harriett Walden, you're the founder of Mothers for Police Accountability. You've been on and still might be on the Community Advisory Board for the Seattle Police Department. You're a subject matter expert. So we're going to go right to the incident in Memphis with Mr. Tyre Nicholas. And I'm hearing now people saying that the current chief of police created the Scorpion unit. And the sister, I can't remember her name, a sergeant from retired sergeant from Los Angeles Police Department, said that the chief should have known this unit didn't have any supervision, and that I guess there were other complaints. So I'd like to first of all saying Mothers for Police Accountability stand for accountability. Just give me your perspective right now on what happened to the situation with Tyre Nicholas.
Well, it was a lot of out of policy, unconstitutional policing going on out there, and I believe everybody knew better, and they just didn't do better. Now, whether the unit should have been set up or not, I can't speak on that because I know that she's disbanded. She did move very swiftly, very, very quickly to be able to fire them. And I did check it out. Tennessee is a at-will employment state. So let's get that out first. It's an at-will employment state. That means you work at the will of the employer. You do not have a right to a job in that state. And although there's a union, the union for the police, for the officers, does not have nearly as much teeth in it as it does in other places, because Washington State might be an at-will state, but it's also a highly unionized state. So nobody could move that quickly here. But also whenever I don't care who the chief would be, when they saw that kind of tape and that kind of unconstitutional policing going on, they're going to have to move quickly to do something.
They did.
Absolutely.
We do have some people saying, well, they did this to the black officers, but they don't. The white officers get, and you just pretty much explained that. If you don't have that agreement and that union, then you can, like you said, Tennessee is at will, so they could terminate someone for wrongdoing like right away. Now, in the other cases where we've had this kind of police misconduct, are you satisfied that we're going in the right direction in terms of dealing with these out of control cops? I just have to say it like it is. I mean, I like Adrian Diaz; he's the chief, but there's some out of control cops in this country.
Well, yeah, and they're out of control because they've had 50 years of being out of control and being out of control for a long time. And I think where we have, as a community, has to continue to organize and say, these are public employees, not public servants. They got paid that night when they were beating him up. I mean, it's no police department in America with volunteer police officers. They all get paid by the public money. We pay them. And I think for too long, we've called them public service. Servant, you're a public servant. I'm a public servant. We don't get paid. I mean, so that's one of the things we have to do. And then I do believe that that the chief here is trying to do a good job, especially with this before the badge thing. What we're going around and actually meeting with the officers and they're hearing our stories and going into different communities. I think that's what's necessary.
Now, in terms of, are you aware of any other police departments throughout the country that have these Scorpion units where cops go around in plain clothes, unmarked cars, and just render their will on anybody they choose?
Well, I mean, in 1990, they had the gang unit here. I mean, and they were making the kids get out the car and take the position and put their guns to the head. I mean, really, that's why we started Mothers. I mean, after my kids was beat up, and but we have to also understand we have a high amount of crime that we have not been willing to talk about and do something about. I mean, because when the gang members, it's amazing that the FBI and all these people, they killed the Panthers in 18 months and they let the gang stand for 40 years. Okay, when they got ready to eradicate the Panthers, they did that in 18 months, and except in one of the places where they did not kill the Panthers, that you were here, I wasn't here, was Seattle, because of the mayor that you had. He did not let them come in here and kill the Panthers like they did in every other city.
And the other thing too, Reverend Harriet, is there was a group of white women called the Radical Women, Gloria Martin, Clara Frazier, and a group of these women surrounded the Panther headquarters to ensure nothing happened to them. Right. But the other thing about the Panthers and the gangs, the Panthers were providing free breakfast and medical clinics and doing things like that. That's why they didn't want. And then the city of Seattle and cities across that where the Panthers were end up adopting the school district, started giving children free lunches and free breakfast, and they created the medical clinics, all in the image of what the Black Panthers created. So yeah, exactly.
But my point is that they took out what was beneficial to the Black community and let what was harmful stay for 40 years. Why do we still have gangs today? Okay, because you know where they started at, and then they shipped them out all over the place. But when they came to Seattle, what was happening here in Seattle, people was getting killed. I mean, they brought crack with them. They brought all of this stuff by design. We have to understand we're at war. We've been at war for 159 years and we just didn't know it. I mean, and what has happened is a war in the Black community. And you and I know that the whole idea was to make sure that Black people didn't have jobs. And so, coming from Louisiana, that's how they built the chain gang, because if people didn't have jobs and they were laundering, they picked them up, put them in jail, put them in Angola, and they'd be out there building the chain gang. And the guy down in Arizona, that chef down there, was still doing the chain gang. See?
Yeah, as a little boy, I remember being on the train. My dad was a Pullman porter. I remember being on the train, actually seeing chain gangs in Louisiana and in Texas and in Arkansas.
Right.
So I had a chance to really see that. Now, in terms of the next steps for the assailants of Tyre Nicholas in Memphis, Tennessee, is the feds involved? Is the Department of Justice involved in this situation?
Well, they probably will get involved, but who's involved is our Thurgood Marshal of the day, and that's Benjamin Crump. I mean, he's involved, and so we know that the family is in good hands. They will not be exploited. They will get everything that's absolutely they can get, and he would litigate. He will prosecute this case to the highest extent that's available. And if Tennessee Attorney General is smart, they might put some help on this case, like they did in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to the Derek Chauvin case, who murdered George Floyd. I mean, these people will be prosecuted, and they will sentence, and they would probably go to jail for a long time. I mean, it was inhumanity. I mean, it was inhumane. It was all of the things. And just think, 55 years ago, Martin Luther King got killed in Memphis. They're helping what? The garbage, and they said, "Ain't our man?" And we don't know, some of these young people some of these police officers might have had relatives out there. We don't even know the lineage back. See, we don't know their lineage could directly be related to some of those garbage workers, because we know they didn't get a good job. But we know that Martin Luther King lost his job, lost his life there, organizing the least of the people. The garbage workers are the least of the people in the community to get a good contract.
Reverend Harry, why do you think that these 5 individual Memphis policemen felt that they had the authority to do what they did to Tyre Nicholas? And I understand now that they put a gun to another young man's head a little while ago. So I just want to know, how do they empower themselves like that?
Well, number one, they had no supervision, and really, because what they did was outside the bounds of policing. And white officers do it all the time. I mean, really and truly. I mean, we saw, and they want to hook Mr. Rodney King. Well, we just go straight to Rodney King and come back to that. I mean, the first time an incident was videoed and sent to the public was that event. And those police officers took turns in beating him up. And every time he got up, they put him up again. And he fell back down. They said because he was getting up, but we know he was trying to get out the way from those licks. But those white officers stood around and they watched this event. But unlike Mr. Nichols, Rodney King, Mr. King lived. He did not die. He even said, "Can we all get along?" And he did die some few years later. I mean, maybe about 20 years. I think he lived about 20 years after that event. But
was Mr. Nichols, was he from? I understand he had ties to Sacramento, California.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was. I think he was might have been raised there, lived there for a while. And I think he has family. I think he has a sister there already. I don't know how many children Mrs. Wells has at this point. But it was incomprehensible to believe that African Americans. I mean, and I'm not. I don't care who they work for, what kind of position they were in. But I just to think that their ancestors came on the slave ship just like we did, and to think that they would be so disconnected from humanity. I mean, if he's a criminal, if he's broken the law, make a constitutional arrest and arrest him. But at this point, even the police chief said they didn't see no signs of reckless activity. But this is what happens when the love of power goes to people's head. They use their power that they had, and they were bodybuilders. I mean, from my understanding, they were bodybuilders. I mean, they were all buff, as the young people would say. I mean, had all these people, and they were using him in a way that was so inhumane. But the statement that I just love that Mrs. Wells said, they brought shame on their family. I mean, really and truly. I mean, because these grandmothers, if they were still alive, these people suffered indignity. I mean, and suffered all that degradation, and then to be able to get a grandson to be a police officer is probably really something that they were proud of.
What percentage of the Memphis Police Department is black, Reverend Harriett?
I think it's about 58%. The large percentage of, what's going to come out of Memphis is that you're going to have people sitting in jail that was charged with a crime that got beat up by some of these same officers, and they got charged with a crime. See, when a police officer touches you, they're going to charge you with the resisting arrest and and all these other charges. And so if you don't have any money, for a good defense, you're going to plead. So how many people have pled guilty to some of these charges that might have been bogus charges? But I hear that they've had a problem all the way back to 2016 and longer than that, because Memphis has had a problem with high crime. But why is it high crime? Okay, I mean, there's not enough jobs. Somebody's dropping guns in the community. Who's educating the children? I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to look in about Memphis. I mean, how the schools, are the kids being kicked out of school? There's a whole bunch of stuff here that we need to look at. But I know there was no reason under the sun, or either up above the sun. You can't go above the sun, but it's no reason for them to act as rogue cops and using their power to beat this man, Mr. Nichols, and he died. And then they called the mother and said they had been pepper sprayed and some other things. She didn't know what condition he was until she went to see him. She didn't know that. Right. And then she didn't know that he was calling her name until she saw. I couldn't watch the video. I mean, I really didn't, because I just couldn't take that level of brutality into my subconscious mind. And I applaud the people who could, but I personally could not do that. But I've been around doing this work for so long. I understand the brutality of policing. It is one of the most brutal jobs in America that you can have. It's almost like slaughtering an animal, almost. I mean, because it's not what they're doing, and it's terrible. And not all police. You probably got some good police officers in Memphis.
Let me ask you this before we go, because there's been key questions being asked by people. Do you think the response in the community would have been any different had it been white police officers opposed to black police officers?
No, I don't think so. If it had happened in Memphis, I don't think so, because they still have that. They still have the right to fire them. Okay. They have the right to fire them. And then I think it would have been a lot. I think Memphis would have got tore up had it been white officers. The reason why there wasn't no tearing up this time, it was swift. Okay, they were arrested and they were charged. You don't see that. That took some of the sting out of this event. I mean, it took some of the sting out of the event because before, it took a while to get Derek charged with this crime. I mean, he was really charged, but this is the swiftest we've had any. This is the fastest that we've ever had a police officer or officers charged for a crime. As long as I've been doing this, I've never seen anybody charged that quickly.
What do you think now about the George Floyd legislation that has been stalled in Congress?
Well, I mean, I'm glad the Black Caucus got together and said something, but they should have put more pressure on Biden when they had the House and the Senate. I mean, it's going to be a little difficult now. I mean, it really is. I mean, I think some of this stuff you're going to have to get state by state, but you really do need a national standard for training. I mean, I think Israel has a national standard. All the industrialized countries have a national standard for training police officers, and the United States of America is probably time to have a national standard for training, because this kind of brutality, it's like unheard of. And then to see people that could be your relative, those police officers could be linked to us in some kind of way. We don't even know. I mean, with our lineage and stuff, to see that going on, it was a sad day. And I talked to Black police officers, and I said, y'all need to speak up. We know good officers. We got officers good. We know good officers. And all Black officers, but also, Mr. Rye, you know how hard we fought to get Black officers on the force.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know that. I mean, they didn't want to hire them.
That's right.
It was a fight to get them on here in Seattle. You know that fight. It was a fight to get them on. They had to be a CSO officer before they could be a police officer.
Well, my brother Jackie was a Seattle police. He got out of the Army early to become a Seattle police officer. Yeah, he didn't last 2 years back in the 60s because of just the culture and the attitude. That's what Ben Crump keeps saying. It's a culture of policing. But I do want to say that Detective Cookie sent me a copy of a statement by Brenda Goss Andrews. She's the national president of Noble.
Right.
And they're saying they're standing with Tyre Nicholas family, the Wells family, and they're praying for their healing and indictments of the perpetrators of that brutality that Mr. Nichols had to face on that deadly night. So I know you have another guest rep here, so I'm at your will. So it was a pleasure to interview you on your own program. But since you're a subject matter expert, so I figured I'm a whole radio host, so I'm going to interview the subject matter expert. People get more information out of that they would out of me trying to comment on.
Well, you know what, Mr. Rye, I learned this on the job training. 33 years ago, all I wanted to know was justice for my own children, and I didn't know a thing about policing. And I've learned all this by doing the work. So thank you for being on my show today, and let's stay working on this issue here, and let's reach out to people in Tennessee, because in Memphis they're going to have some more stories to tell. I believe that.
I believe it too. Well, thank you very much, Harriett, to allow me to interview you on your own program.
Well, thank you. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. Host Reverend Walden.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
What's one of your favorite memories?
Let's see. Well, there was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. I mean, when you're sitting on the beach, it's so peaceful, and you sort of forget there's a whole other world under there, just full of all kinds of life. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. They kind of reminded me of tropical birds. They were so bright and colorful, just darting all over the place like birds in the sky. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, this is Dr. K. Mahina Intron, inviting you to tune in on Mondays on 1150 KKNW at 5 p.m. to Dr. K's Attuning to Your Abundance, where we honor everyday abundance through positive messages, poetry, music, affirmations, and writing exercises. For more information, contact Dr. K Workshops at gmail.com or Facebook, Dr. K's Abundance.
No other station delivers this much variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on air. Bring my next guest on here. It's Stephen Coger, right? K-O-G-R from Arkansas, way down yonder in Arkansas. All righty. Hey. It's so good to have you on. You might have heard some of my other guests here. You know, I mean, we got energy in the world right now and a lot of sorrow and a lot of suffering. So, you know, we lift up that family and what's happening in Memphis. But you already booked for here ever since the 1st of January. And so I wanted to get you on because I know that you're doing great work. And so let's just talk about you. I'm so happy to know that you're an attorney. You're doing some great work in Arkansas, you know. So let's just rock it, okay? Let's rock it with
Awesome.
this witness. You know, I met you here at the University of Washington, and you refreshed my memory that Michelle Storm was there as an instructor. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So, you know, I moved to the University of Washington, Seattle, from Arkansas to attend law school. They offered me a full ride scholarship just based on a history of doing community focused work. And law school didn't really feed my soul in the ways that I needed. And Michelle Storms could see that I was bored with contracts and needed some real love connections in Seattle. And so she suggested that I reach out to you, Reverend Walden. And we met up at Starbucks there by the Walgreens.
Yeah.
On 23rd and Jackson.
Yeah, it's closed now, but yes, that was our hub.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That was it. And you know, I'm just so thankful for you. And you remember we went to see Sweet Honey in the Rock together once?
Yes, we did. Yes.
That was special.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I read your resume and it's a lot. I mean, your bio, and you're doing. You come from a place where sometimes the views about different people are not always good. And so Seattle was a welcoming place at that time for you. And
it was.
You know, we've come a long ways, but we take one step and then look like we do two steps backwards. And so, after you finish, so what was the particular thing that you were doing so that the law school saw you and knew that you were somebody that they needed to give a scholarship to?
Gosh, you know, mostly my work here in Arkansas before law school was focused on police violence against particularly immigrant single mothers. So they were reporting domestic violence and then being placed into the hands of deportation police here in Northwest Arkansas.
Wow.
And I worked with immigrant leaders to really try to bring some awareness into the, you know, I prefer the term European American rather than white, because white makes it sound like we fell from the sky like snow. It's pure as can be. And European American says we have some history that it doesn't belong here. And so I tried to bring some awareness, right, and some public pressure onto these cops and these sheriffs that were doing the bad things. Eventually we got them to stop too, but
right.
And so that was how I kind of moved into that scholarship possibility.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did that work and you got that scholarship possibilities and come on out to Seattle, because that means that our paths crossed. But you know, you finished law school. Yes, you graduated.
Thanks to you, I decided to stick around.
Yeah, I was glad to have you too. Yes. We had a great time. We really did, because I'm sure I told you about my Hiram story, and you know about Hiram. So yeah, we had a great time together, and
yes,
and letting people live their full life. the full lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you went back to your home state. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just following spirit.
Oh yeah. I think we talked often about following spirit, didn't we?
Absolutely, we did.
Mm-hmm.
If I had been given the choice of having an easier life, I may have chosen it. But there is a lot of unnecessary suffering that takes place in Arkansas.
Yes.
For black folks, for poor white folks, for Latinx folks, and to have a bilingual lawyer who's also a member of the LGBTQ community. There's not many of us here, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it feels right. It feels right to be here. And I teamed up a couple of years ago. The president of the local chapter of the NAACP said, Stephen, look at this. The school police officers are only arresting Black kids. What's the deal? And so, we sued the city when they wanted to add more cops into the schools, and we stopped them. It's hard to come by lawyers that want to do that work for, as I like to say, free 30 or free 99.
Oh yeah. Not that work. I mean, those days. Yes, you're right. That's right. That's not happening anymore. No.
Right. But when you love people, you do things for them, and they do things for you, and it feels just like living in a sacred community.
That's right. Because
something
really,
you told me once was, oh yeah.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah.
Remind me what I said.
Okay. Well, you said, and correct me, of course, if I'm paraphrasing poorly, but basically, maybe they are right, and we cannot have a world of social justice and peace where we can all fulfill our potential. But if we are working toward it, we're making it slightly less terrible than it was.
That's right. Vanna, who started the Zones of Peace, and she was from Croatia, and her father, she was a Serb, and she was both of them, in that area. Her mother and father came from different religions, but she wound up starting the Zones of Peace, and we had zones of peace in a lot of places. And I went to Canada for her to meet Dr. Van Dan Shiva up there when it was the 100th anniversary of Gandhi's death. But why I'm telling her a story is that in India there's a religion called the Jain, and these people they don't believe in harming anything. And the leader of that religion, I mean, because it is a religion, so because they have followers and people believe that way, told her that peace might not ever come, but the world would be worse if people wasn't working toward peace. And that. So I think that's probably something that I got from Vanna, that you have to be on the road working toward what it is you see. And then the more that I get into learning other things, I know that all of this it's what we made up. I mean, because God created everything good and called it good in Genesis, but people didn't believe it was good. So they went on to make up all this stuff that we getting, because they could not believe that everything was already given perfect and whole. Yes. And so you got all the rest of the stuff. And then people point to all the rest of the stuff, but nobody points to that it was already given. It was already
given good.
And so now we're working out of stuff that the carnal mind created.
Exactly. These human imposed limitations.
Exactly. Not understanding that the world was created in infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities of doing something. I used to work with a group of people, and whenever we couldn't get to a point, she had a beautiful basket with some rice in it, uncooked rice, and then she would put her fingers in there. So it's infinite possibilities to answer this. It's infinite. We don't have to be stuck here. We can just keep moving forward, because the answer will come if we realize that it's infinite ways that it could show up.
Yes,
And
yes,
then
yes,
and
yes,
then and then
yes.
when you look up infinite, I did a talk about infinite, but when you look at infinite, it says boundless, limitless,
Boundless.
it's unknowable. You can't count it. All that. That's what it means. It's not.
Mm,
And so if we could open up our that self, I mean, because those officers there in Memphis had infinite opportunities, boundless opportunities to do something,
boundless.
opportunities to do something that was not harmful.
Yes, not
Out of the
destructive.
box. And all the people who stood around, they had infinite opportunities
Mm,
to change the
yes.
history, to change the tide of history, because that's what it gives you. It changes the tide of history when you step out on infinite possibilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Malcolm X said the South starts at the Canadian border.
Yes.
But I feel like the South is differently bad.
Yes,
And
I do too. Yes, yes. I
I
was
think we
raised in
have more
Florida.
people here. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm a
Sanford, was
Floridian.
it Sanford?
Sanford. I was raised in Sanford, born in Jacksonville. So I understand South. I understand it more than people might think, because I've been on the West so long. But how you were raised and what you see, what you saw when you were a kid, growing up in systems, and that's why I know about Memphis. I know the sense of what goes on there. See, yeah.
When you
Yeah.
expanded what you just said, your sort of prayer, almost, it sounded like to me, a prayer that we embrace this infinite possibility. And you mentioned the people standing around and not engaging to change history right there.
That's right.
There's so much of that in Arkansas and Tennessee and Mississippi. The flack that I get, or my friend Monique, who had me move in on that school police officer situation, we get so much flack because we don't just stand around. We get so much hate.
That's right.
From liberals, even more liberals than conservatives hate us because
right.
we're not we're not standing around doing nothing.
Well, the slavery lasts so long in the South because you had good people who did nothing. 50% of white women owned slaves. Okay, so you had, and then the Southern Quakers owned slaves. So when you understand all of that, I mean, so it was a perfect storm of supporting an unrighteous system from people who said they knew who God was. See,
exactly.
I mean, I don't know what book they were using, but they was not.
It must have been a different book. It must have been a different book. Yeah, I know. They skipped the red letters, Reverend Walden.
I mean, so when you look at this, it's like infinite. I mean, and so when you get home, I mean, when you get to when you get a chance, just write down all those words for infinite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow. So it's nothing that we can't do if we decide to understand that we don't have to know all of the ways of doing it. Because what the infinite possibilities mean is that you might not know how to stop the water, but somebody else does. And the creator sends somebody to say, "Oh, do you need some help with your water?" And sometimes it's so synchronicity. Sometimes it's so out of the blue. Sometimes it's so new agey.
Yes.
The people who in this tunnel stuff called religion, they want to give more credit to Satan than they do to God. So it's
so true. It's so true. And when we limit I love what you just said. When we limit our sense of possibility to whatever our tribe believes, whether that tribe is Christianity or whatever tribe, when we take away from infinite and narrow it down, I think our capacity to receive God's miracles lessens so exponentially.
That's right. It does, because really, I know we didn't say we didn't say we were going to talk esoteric, but it's always esoteric for me, because it's have to bring it to. They have to bring it in. But there's one scripture it took me 20 years to understand, and it says, "Them that have is them that get, and them that don't have get them that taken away." And it took me 20 years to get that, but I got it. And what it means is that them that have is talking about what they have. And so they're talking about it. Oh, yeah, I have this, oh, yeah, I got this. I mean, we might think it's braggadocious, but the universe says, oh, yeah, they like, so I give them some more. And then the people who get up every morning say, oh, well, I don't have it. But every day we get up with a have. You know what your have is? Breath. Breath is your have. And so when you get up and you don't recognize you have, you've gone against the universal laws that say you always have, because you have what?
You have breath.
Okay. And Mr. Nichols don't have breath today because it was taken away from him. Okay, but he left home with breath. He left home with breath.
He did.
He left home with breath. He had.
See. He did. And when I see his picture, I see someone who was aware that he had breath.
That's right. He was aware. There was a light on him. And so that meant
there was a light on him.
He was to be the people who were absolutely doing this to him. Actually, they were so without understanding that what they saw, that they just started, because really the light was shining in the darkness for us who can see,
Yes.
For us who can see, so again, it's like, so that's an important scripture, because
it is.
I recognize I always have.
And you know what you just said there reminded me too of people were afraid of Jesus' light. And in the Bible, if we're going to believe the Bible, if we're going to believe it, it says Jesus had hair like lamb's wool.
Oh yeah, and that means kinky like the Negroes.
Exactly. And so this man who was just sacrificed to state violence by the latest form of the Romans,
right? Exactly.
Was just another child of God.
That's right, another child of God. You know that? Yes. And then for my belief system, I believe that all who has ever loved him welcome him with unconditional love. He didn't feel unconditional love the last hour. I don't know how long that lasts.
No.
And I know what was going through his mind was who had given him unconditional love was Mama.
Yes.
He called his mother. George Floyd called his mother. She came and got him right away because she was already on the other side of the veil. But so he was calling that what represented unconditional love for him as he was being beat up. Okay, see,
right?
And they was right. And I like how you say the Romans. Because it was the Romans. It's the same idea. Because even though Christianity was started on the continent, it was Coptics, the Ethiopians, the Palestinians, and the Egyptians. It was stolen by the Romans. By the Roman
stolen
Church.
and edited and etc. etc.
And then on top of stealing it from the people that it stolen from, and the Africans, they said that the Africans was infidels, did not have a soul, and that the enslaved people would be in perpetual servitude. That meant perpetual, and you can see how that perpetual servitude is still going on. Really and truly. But
it's true.
But it is, it's like that. So wow. But what is wonderful is more and more people are waking up to the spirit and knowing that they were never alone, because even though what we saw was so gross, I didn't see it. But in the midst of that appearance chaos, the spirit of love was with him. See, for we who believe this way, we know that he was not alone. Because the scripture says that I will be with you always.
Yes, through the valley of death, always.
Always. And so that meant that as his spirit was leaving his body, it was being lifted and carried by all who have ever loved him and going into unconditional love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a it reminds me. And then it's hard to talk about that in a lot of spaces because the world, we've grown to have a lot of people who are non-believers, and that's okay. Everybody wake up at a different time, but that young man was awake.
Yep. And you can, like you said, we can see it in his picture. And
oh yeah. Because the light will shine on your face. It is a light that shines, light that lights up the darkness. It was absolutely a shine. So, but
these conversations are the roots of in this, as you said, it's sort of more esoteric, but it's how I'm able to
that's right.
I represent asylum seekers. One of my asylum seekers was from Mauritania, the last country on the planet to outlaw slavery in 1984.
Oh yes.
And it's still ongoing. The institution is still ongoing in Mauritania. It's just de facto it's illegal officially, but it still happens. And we applied for asylum for this person. So maybe I should back up and say nowadays I executive direct a nonprofit law firm called Arkansas Immigrant Defense.
Yes, please put that out there. You might want to say it again.
Yes, Arkansas Immigrant Defense, and
you're the founder. And so we were the director.
I'm the founder and the director. Thanks to you and so many people who loved me and put wisdom into me. It's a service that I really am thankful for and enjoy.
Well, what, it couldn't happen to, and I'm so glad to hear you, because you get to live full out. You get to be the love in the world that God says yes, and He put it in you. And you know what? I mean, really and truly, and that's what I'm glad about. You get to live full out.
Yes. Thank you. And do
the work in the world and walk as a light in the world, full out in all of what you do, and how you live your life, and how you help people. It's like, and that's how we all should be, because God gave us all gifts. Everybody
Absolutely.
And why should some people's gift not be welcome because of so and so? Because some man says so and so. Not
exactly.
Creator.
Not the Creator.
Everything I created was in love, and it was good. Yes.
It was man that created this duality that is so confusing.
A duality. See, that's right, a duality. But if you understand, it's only one. So you come out of the duality, and I'm so glad you stepped up and stepped out.
Yes, thank you for helping get that transition into my heart mind, because it is taxing, Reverend Walden. I deal with most of my clients. I have a couple hundred clients, and most of them are children. Average age is 14. They're seeking asylum in the U.S. And they're from all over the world, and they've somehow, one way or another, found their way to Arkansas. Poor folks, and
a landlocked state with no water.
Exactly. I don't know how they got here. Generally, how they get here, though, in all seriousness, is they have family here and somebody who loved them and said, "You can come here." And then the Office of Refugee Resettlement gives them the phone number and email address of Arkansas Immigrant Defense, and then we make them eligible for Medicaid if they're under 21. We file their asylum, and we try to fight their deportation and get them on a path to a lifelong security so that they can live that full gift.
That's right.
The Creator gave them.
Yeah.
I'm just a tiny piece. I just want to give people access to being able to live their full gift, away from fear, away from exploitation.
Yes.
And that's how I feel my little chess piece. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm so glad you're doing that, because really it's necessary. It's necessary, because the Creator in infinite wisdom, infinite wisdom, infinite boundless, limitless wisdom created us all.
Yes.
Now created us all. And now, they say that, life began in Africa. So that meant, and as Ivan Van Sertima said, the mighty Africans left Africa 250,000 years ago, upright, and people the world, and people the continents of the world. So that means that we have a footprint everywhere. But I tell you, the graciousness of the mighty African was not the one to lock people out. It was not the one to lock people out. And and I'm a historian, and you know that. But
yes,
guess what? The first pyramid ever built in the world was in Egypt. In Egypt, when it was the seat of blackness, was called Memphis. It's a miracle going to come out of Memphis. Okay, I don't know what the miracle is going to be. 55 years ago, Martin Luther King lost his life there, trying to make life better for Black people. Okay. And then 55 years later here, the Roman gods who was doing this was Black people. Okay. So it can't be nothing but, and all this other stuff, nothing come out of Memphis right now. But eventually, I mean, a miracle is going to come out of Memphis, because if you tie up that seed of blackness back there, and over 3000 BC, before Christ, 3,000 years before Christ. And it might even been longer than that. Long before the world had this type of civilization, they were building pyramids. And the first one, it was near a river. I mean, and I guess Memphis is near a river. I'm not, I don't know all the geography there. I'm going to look it up. But
it is. It's right on the Mississippi. It's right on the Mississippi.
Oh, and that's another M right there, right on the Mississippi.
Mississippi. Absolutely, Reverend Walden. And I'm so I hadn't connected that dot, but you're right. Dr. King was there for the sanitation workers when he
That's
was
right.
assassinated, and
That's right.
and yeah.
And he was and they were had the sign that says, "And I'm a man." They wanted dignity. Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Nicholas was not afforded any dignity that Dr. King gave his life for.
Right.
Okay? And they were making pennies there, and it's still a right to work at will work state. And so that's why they got fired so fast, because they don't have a right to a job. But when you think about history, and you think about the life of Dr. King, you think about the pyramids in Egypt, and how we get so caught up on pop culture that we don't understand how to connect the dots in history that could free us from this madness.
Yes.
It could free us.
Yes.
Because of
free us from the duality.
That's right. Because of murder and mayhem and harm could have got us to nirvana, we'd have been rocking long before I met you.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Hey, we'd have been rocking a long time. I mean, it's like, hey, the Crusades, all this war, and it's because now again we know what God created over here was good.
Right.
And so the duality and the control comes out, and people want to just control other people, and they keep their stuff going. But you can't blame God for it, because the infinite is boundless.
That's right. And I'm gonna do as you say as soon as we hop off here, and I'm gonna look up the definition and write these words down.
Yeah, you're gonna be surprised.
Yes, Reverend Wallace, years ago, I got from you these wonderful, wonderful cards with your paintings, your wonderful paintings.
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have any of those?
Well, I have to get some more made. I mean, I have.
Okay, I love them so much.
But I have a book, though, with some artwork in it.
I have that, and I love it.
Oh, you got my repetition journaling? Okay, well, I'm getting that one done again. Okay, that's
good.
That's how I'm getting some more of those printed. Then I have another book that's coming out pretty late this spring. It's called My Spirit Basket, because I do spirit baskets every day. On Facebook, and say today my spirit basket is full of. Sometimes it's spirit or whatever it is, and that book is going to be a little small book like this one, like my other one, and have some more artwork in it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I've been writing this book. I've been writing every day I post a spirit basket, but it is part of my book. And I've done way over for it. I mean, I'll have one for every day. So I've been doing it for a while. And then I'll have some other products coming out around with infinites on it and some other things that I've been doing. But you got to, for people who do this work, you have to have that spiritual practice. You cannot do this work without having a well.
Exactly.
You got to have a well to go to. So you don't get jaded.
Yes.
You have to come with you gotta come with that spirit of purity. I mean, really and truly, because once you get to be on it's like, and so it's it's constant. I mean, I think when I was doing the Goldsmith tape groups too, I was doing the girls, and that's kind of evaporated, but I was spending like 4 hours in a week in the silence.
Wow.
So
wow, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
I'm trying to reconstitute those 4 hours in the silence. And then Marcus Garvey said you needed to read 4 hours a day, and before I got on Facebook, I was up to 2 hours a day. But
Facebook slows things down.
Marcus Garvey said you get an uneducated man, if you teach him to read and he reads 4 hours a day, in 2 years you would have an educated man.
Wow!
And let him walk with a dictionary, and they learn a word a day.
I love it. And I remember you said once something like, what's the name of that library in the Central District?
Douglas Truth.
Douglas Truth. You said that's the best place you can get your college education. You get your PhD right there.
Yeah, it has everything.
Everything you need.
The great playwright, he stopped going to school, and his mother didn't know it, and he went to the Pittsburgh Library every day. And so he didn't have any advanced degrees. He learned in the library. And so everything you need is in the library. It's just not organized. College organized it for you.
Yes, that's
right. First year you got to do this. Second year you got to do that. But if you wanted to learn, and I'm a lifetime learner, if you just wanted to learn at your own pace, then you can just go to the library. And like every time I take something, I studied for 2 years. I took the Coptic religion. I studied something every 2 years, just for my own way. I'm not trying to, it's just because I love history. So I just studied. I mean, I love to study.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so thankful. You study and you put that study into service.
Well, yeah, but also I know a lot of lawyers when they come out of law school, they don't know how to read anymore because they've just been reading.
It's so true, Reverend Walden.
But true. I'm so happy for what you're doing though, because you're a light.
Me too.
You're lifting the planet. You're inclusive. You know that you might not have been using the word infinite, but you know that there's infinite ways of doing things because what you did, you had to think out the box to do that. You know, I mean, and they probably had to people tell you, well, you're not going to make a lot of money and you're probably not, it's not going to work. But what God has called and qualified, God will also prosper.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yes, right.
And you know, Reverend, I just want to thank you for not just you know, being such a guide and mentor to me personally, but your house was for decades the house where young people could go when they were not safe anywhere else.
Well, that's true.
And I just want people listening to hear that you were that right. For South Seattle.
That's right. Well, my son lived at Hiram. You know, he's high maintenance. He's in spirit now, and he loves to be talked about. Just because they're behind on the other side of the veil, don't mean that they're not in your business. But
exactly.
So Hiram lived his whole life as a gay guy, as a young guy. He came out of college as a teenager. And a lot of Black boys got kicked out, and so I never knew who was at my house. And I know I had that plaque that said, "We welcome all people, all sexualities, all religion. Everybody was welcome here." And I had that. I got that plaque in the '80s, and it was always on my house, on my door. And if anybody came to my house and didn't like them, you know, then they couldn't come back. I mean, because really and truly, it's like, hey. I mean, and then I was interim at the Reverend Hall's church after she passed away. Sojourner too, and it was a church that was open. It was a church actually for people who were in same-sex relationships. I mean, because then in the '80s, in the early '90s, when people were dying from AIDS, the Black church wouldn't let them in. The Black church would not funeralize these people, and Reverend Hall did that. And when she passed away, I was an interim pastor for them at Sojourner Truth Ministry. And you know what? You have all these people who the world say God don't love, and they bring in their gifts. They can sing, they could do this. I mean, so what God would keep people from not using their gifts? Okay, here they come over here and run a church, and they can sing, and they can do this stuff, and they got all this skill, and they got all this love. And what are you supposed to do with it? You know, it's like, hey, you know what? It's like that's not right. I mean, and Reverend Hall's slogan was that God is love and love is for everyone, was Reverend Hall's slogan.
It's for everyone. I love that, Reverend Walden.
God is love.
Thank you, Reverend Hall.
Love is for everyone, was Reverend Hall's, that's what she meant. And she funeralized so many people. And sometimes the families wouldn't even take the ashes when they were, I mean, this stigma, and this division, it's like, hey, you know, I mean, my grandmother taught me not to be a hater. That's the best thing she ever taught me. And her husband first husband got lynched by some white people. But she taught me not to be a hater. And then coming from the South and coming from being, you know, the South is different. I mean, you know, Black people are conservative, not conservative that way. But when people tell you something, you have to believe it because they're telling you something for your own good. But it's like, hey, if I hadn't had Hiram, I'd have been like, oh, Joy, maybe they all not to live. Well, I don't know what. But hey, so here come Hiram. He was my greatest teacher.
God gave you Hiram to teach you full love.
And he was my greatest teacher because, you know, we had this debate, but I didn't think same-sex couples should adopt children. And he told me, he said, oh, Mama, I'm ashamed of you. He said, I'm ashamed of you that you would think that it would be okay for these children to be in and out foster care than to be in a loving home. And he took me, I mean, it's like, oh, okay. And no, he said,
got a point, my son.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, so my greatest teacher, you know, my greatest teacher about having a wider place to love people. And he said his homegoing day was right. And January, that's why I say I don't know how to do a lot, because my birthday is my grandson, who was born the year after him, is January 1st. Mine is the 4th, and then Hiram homegoing day is the 5th. And so I don't know how to do anything to the I don't do a calendar to the last week in January. It's when I put the calendar together. But my greatest teacher.
I love it. You know, Reverend Walden, one more thing that keeps me going that I wanted to share with you and our listeners.
We got one more minute. So.
Oh, one more minute. Okay, I'll make it quick. So I have a band, and it's the website is www.loverlover.live or .live, Live. And the last song that I released is called Diagnosis. And it's about that that unconditional love that we're invited to give to people who are
Right.
dying of some sort of diagnosis.
Yes.
And it's an opportunity for everyone, right? It's an opportunity to show love and receive love.
That's right.
And that's what the song is about. Anyway.
But make sure you send me that link to send it to me, and I'll put it on. I'll put it out there. This is wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you.
So happy to see you.
To see you and to know that the work that you're doing, you are a light, and God bless you with your work there in Arkansas and all the work that you're doing, the people that you touch. I'm so proud to have you on my show. It won't be the last time.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. Awesome. Right. You have a great week. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. Check out our podcast also, and I'll see you next week.